Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Developing the Leader Within podcast. We're celebrating Women's History Month. Today, I have Claude Silver with me. She's the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia, Chief People Officer. She is an emotional optimist, coach, a manager, and mentor. And as the first ever Chief Heart Officer, she works with 1,200 humans at VaynerMedia, and she is in touch with the heartbeat of every single person in the company. Her role is to infuse the agency with empathy, and that is her purpose. Claude, thank you for being with me today to celebrate Women's History Month.
Thank you so much for having me, Enrique. It's a joy to be here. Thank you.
Folks, we're going to be talking about leadership and compassion. I could not think of any other person on the face of this earth to cover this with me. I've seen Claude do some marvelous things, and it's just been so inspiring that I wanted to bring this topic with and discuss. We're going to get into this in a little bit, but first, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name's Claude Silver. I'm the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia. I've been at Vayner for almost 8 years, come this March, and I've been doing this role for 6 years. Gary and I created this role 6 years ago. My passion for my entire life, even if I look back on my life, has always been to help people, has always been to extend a hand, extend a shoulder, extend an ear. It's just something that I think I was raised with. And I really had no business getting into the world of advertising, but I did in around 1998 in San Francisco. And I really never looked back. I worked in the digital world and still continue to work in the digital world since 98 with a little bit of a stint right after 9/11 when many of us got laid off, myself included. I started an outdoor adventure surfing company for women in San Francisco and then opened it up to men and children. And we had, I guess, almost 5 years I was in the water. You had a great tan because I was wearing a thick wetsuit. So neck up, wrist down, tan. I probably was in the water, 250 days a year, pushing people into waves in the Pacific Ocean. So that's all to say that I love being with people. I love coaching people. I love being coached. I'm definitely a put me in coach type of person also.
And I have definitely witnessed that. The Pacific Ocean is one of my favorite places. I spent a lot of time in the Pacific as a Navy weatherman, and that's what I did. But
Wow.
great time, and I love how you took something that actually, it affected the world at the time, a tragedy. You pivoted, you made it something for yourself, and that's what I love about what you do. You always center it around people. And so as we talking about leadership and compassion, what sparked your compassion? What actually was the behind the scenes for that to spark?
I don't know, but I don't know what sparked it at such a young age. I can remember as a kindergartner, so 5 years old, feeling for other people. I knew that I could feel other people. I could sense emotion, I guess, and it is said that emotion's contagious, but I could really sense and want to take care of people at a very young age that, seem to be on the more fragile side, if you will. And then, I just got into coaching and being I was on the tennis team. I was a captain of the team. I was on the soccer team. I was a captain of the team. I enjoy being able to put my arms around people. I come from a really generous family, generous in spirit. My Nana, who I speak about a lot, who died 5 years ago at 101, was the most remarkable person and most remarkable empath and compassionate person I've ever met. And she really emotionally raised me in many ways. And then I think as I started to get older, I would say probably in my early 20s, early to mid 20s, I really, through a lot of studying and through a lot of spiritual studying and whatnot, I really came to believe and find out that we're not all that different from one another. Of course, we have our obvious differences and uniqueness, which makes us individual, but we're not all that different. And when you find that you might be having a same kind of feeling as someone who's out on the streets, or someone who's an addict going through recovery, or whatever it is, like, it just opened my heart to realize that we all at the end of the day. And I don't ever want anyone to feel other if they don't want to feel other.
Yeah, that's so important as leaders to truly get in touch with that. And you say 5 years old. That's amazing for you to realize that. Wow, there's something here. I can feel this energy, or whatever someone would call it, from this other person, and it draws you. It moves you. In the biblical text, it talks about Jesus that says it, and he was moved for and into compassion. And there's just so many things that we witness as leaders, and as you were growing up, you was learning more, educating, and kind of honing this. um and it's so important for leaders to get in touch with compassion. uh there is an importance. And so would you say the importance of knowing what level of compassion to give as a leader? Because you could apply too much, you could apply too little.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think there's a fine line and a dance that we as leaders need to do. And in order to do the dance, you have to be willing to do the dance. You have to be flexible, willing to be flexible, and willing to turn on a dime. And so, yes, I think as compassionate leaders and empaths, it is easy to over-index and create entitlement and create a softness, I would say, where people might feel like they're untouchable, in terms of they can be a bully, or they can not come to work for 8 days straight, and whatever it is, and everything will be okay. I mean, I think that's living in a fictitious way. And that's also that thing we hear about, giving kids eighth place trophies. There's nothing wrong with someone that comes in eighth, and what you can say to that person is, hey, well done, let's go practice so we come in fourth next, or we come in second next. So I think, rather than creating entitlement, you want to bring your kindness, you want to bring your heart and your compassion to the conversation, but you want to be honest and have candor. Otherwise, you really do create kind of like a spaghetti noodle over here. And on the other side, if you don't bring your heart, and you don't bring your compassion or your vulnerability, and you keep your armor up, well, let's just guarantee that that company or that team is not going to be inspired, is not going to feel welcomed, is not going to feel safe. So, here's the seesaw, and we need to find the middle ground here, where we can flex and do the dance as needed, because everyone needs something different. And you have to be willing to stop yourself and say, wow, I just over-indexed on making that person feel like entitled to the max. I need to really scale back now. So, I say this often, none of this is about being right. I don't think there is a right. I think it is about being better in the world, being a better citizen, being a better leader, being a better teammate, being a better friend, being a better daughter, mother, you name it.
Yes, I truly believe that, and there's a way of integrating some of that into your daily life as a leader that will benefit everyone without shortchanging somebody. And that's, making people feel not, something good. It's never a good thing. And anybody would know that. But there is a limit, as you said, the eighth place recognition. That recognition does not have to look like a recognition at a different level.
Yeah.
It could be appropriate. You can make it appropriate for whatever level it is, and still make that person feel like they've accomplished, because eighth place is an accomplishment. It's not ninth, right?
Sure is.
It's-
Sure is. I think really the moral of the story for me is making sure that everyone knows that they are worthy to be eighth, ninth, 17th, first. It doesn't matter, that everyone feels worthy and that it's available to them if they put some elbow grease into it, not just because they wish upon a star. You have to work. So, but that's the bottom line, is that I don't ever want someone to feel like, well, that's just not ever going to happen to me because I'm not smart enough, or I don't deserve that, or I was never picked first for the team. So that's the moral of the story for me, is like, it's available to everyone.
and I agree. Now, as leaders integrate compassion and try to find a balance between the two, there's always some challenges. So what are some ways that leaders can integrate compassion into their daily lives, into their company, and into their people?
Okay, well, the first one is get out your phone, go on Slack, get on email, it doesn't really matter, and start to say, thank you, I appreciate you, well done, so glad you're here, how are you? Did you have a good weekend? Hope to see you soon, let's catch up. Acknowledge, 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 right? Thank you. I heard you hit it out of the park the other day. That takes no time. And literally, if you can't even think of who to do it, start with A and someone will pop up. Then go to B, someone will pop up. C. So that's the first thing. And that is so small and goes so far. So these are little things you can do this minute, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, you can always take time and do a handwritten note. You can always take time and send someone something. Surprise and delight, acts of serendipity. Those are things that really catch people off guard. Like, oh my God, you sent me a bouquet of flowers just cause, that kind of stuff. The other thing is, I think a couple other things is, you can do an open office hours, and just do an ask me anything for whomever comes in. Make yourself accessible, make yourself available, make sure people see and sense some kind of vulnerability in you, courage in you, that your heart is here to serve. Your heart is here because you choose to be a leader every single day, not because you earn the badge and now everyone needs to salute you. That's not the way the workplace is. None of the workplaces I've been in. Showing humility is enormous. Letting someone else come up with the answers. Bringing people into a brainstorm, doing a wine Wednesday, or no wine, it doesn't really matter. But what you're trying to do by spreading compassion like that is the acknowledgement of people, but you're really trying to create safety. You're really trying to create a place where everyone feels like they belong. Because once you have that as the soil, you can grow anything with that garden. You really can. And it doesn't have to be massive. It can be these little hits, little hits, little hits. Remembering also that your energy, when you get onto the Zoom or you come into the room, is going to introduce you way before you open your mouth. So how are you walking in? You walking in looking at your phone? Or are you walking in, with a smile, hey, everyone, how's it going? What's up? Let's sit down. That's all up to you. I know how I want to walk in, and I don't get it perfect all the time. So you got to be intentional about I would say these actions that you take. Be inspired. They go a very long way.
Well, I tell you that those are wonderful ways of integrating compassion into your daily lives. Leaders, if you're listening, I hope you're taking notes. Hey, you could always rewind it and hear it again, but it's important, as Claude just said, to be intentional. Uh, your intent is the result that you're going to get. And believe it or not, whether you intend on doing something great or doing something wrong. It's what you're gonna get. So it wonderful advice there, Claude. I thank you for that.
Thank
Now,
you.
there's a lot of people that are listening to this short episode and are saying, "Wow, I would love to hear more. I would love to see more of Claude's content and all she described." So, how would they do that if they wanted to?
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm very active on LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm playing a little bit with TikTok now. I've got a website. It's just Claude Silver. Yeah, reach out. Anyone that and writes me, I do get back to everyone that says hey or whatever. Takes me a little bit of time sometimes, but I love hearing from people. I love knowing who's out there, and obviously how I can provide value is how my heart lights up. So please hit me up.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we're going to make sure to have some links on there on the show notes and the video for you to get that access to Claude. But Claude, thank you so much for sharing not only this Women's History Month that we're celebrating, but your knowledge and compassion. And thank you so much for what you're doing, not only at VaynerMedia, but at large, because when you create content, we all get to participate, and so we really appreciate that, folks. We've been talking about leadership and compassion. I hope that you've gotten some great things. Any last thing that you would like to share with the audience?
I want to, like everyone here, I want to bring more tenderness into this world. And I really do suggest picking up the phone now and just texting someone, I love you, thinking about you. I'm going to do the same thing.
And so will I. As soon as we're done
Right
here,
on.
I'm going to do the same thing, folks.
Good.
We make compassion makes the world go round. The other alternative is what you see in the news, right? So let's focus on bringing a little more compassion, not only into our lives, but to be able to share it. So if you've enjoyed this episode and learned something interesting about the topic we covered today, make sure to subscribe and let us know by leaving a comment on YouTube, and LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. I'm not on TikTok yet, Claude, but maybe I join you. We're
Yeah.
always looking for new ideas and guests that we can add to our show. So if you know someone or have a topic that you would like featured on the podcast, we'd love to hear about it by emailing us at triadleadershipsolutions@gmail.com. Be sure to tune in next week for another great lady doing great stuff on Women's History Month, where we will dissect leadership from another angle. But as we love to end the show, success to you.